Commentator Paris Denard joins us now. So does former Democratic Mayor of Philadelphia, Michael Nutter. Mayor Nutter, was this a political stunt by the Eagles?
No, Anderson. The president is the one who canceled the event on the false premise of some dispute about the national anthem or kneeling or anything. And as Jim Acosta has said, and everyone has said all day for the last day and a half, none of the Eagles ever did anything like that. They never stayed in the locker room. There have been no games since the Super Bowl, so there's been none of this kind of activity. This was planned, I believe, a long time ago. Donald Trump relishes this reality-like TV world that he lives in all by himself, and knew that he would get much more mileage out of this by canceling or disinviting the Eagles than by actually being a normal person and actually having a ceremony with whomever showed up. The fans would have been thrilled about that, and it would have been business as usual. But no, of course, he has to drive attention to himself, to his narcissism. He's an emotional and intellectual Lilliputian, and so he cannot think beyond the moment. He doesn't care what the real underlying issues are and what the players are actually demonstrating about. That's something he could actually do something about.
Paris, I mean, you heard Jim Acosta reporting that this is an issue the president views as something that could help him in the midterms. Isn't that a kind of political stunt?
Well, I think that the president believes in patriotism. He believes that this is an issue that...
So do the Eagles.
This is an issue that the president believes a lot of Americans care about. And I think the president is right for raising this cultural...
what issue?
This cultural issue of what we do as Americans. Look, we've taken prayer out of schools. A lot of schools, when I grew up, we used to say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. I did it because I was student body president and I would lead it for the class. We used to do things like that. And I think that what we've seen is the erosion of civility and the erosion of civics that is not prevalent. Look, there's
wait a minute, Paris. I mean, I got to jump in there. The erosion of civility. I mean, the president called these players sons of bitches. I mean, is that appropriate?
Right.
And I have said, and I mean, I know you all like to keep running that line, and I've said repeatedly that I didn't think that that was an appropriate thing for him to say, but I stand by the president. I was at the event today. I went to the event because I thought, you know, Mayor, I didn't interrupt you, and I think you should have some civility and allow me to finish what I'm saying. I went to the event because I thought it was an important thing to do because I stand for the national anthem and for this country. And I think it's an important thing to do. The NFL's policy is an important one to do, but I think overall, this is a logistical issue. It takes a lot of planning. The White House was planning this since February. And I know that if the players decided at the last minute, which is what it seems, to, on one day, Friday, 80 some odd people were coming, and then right before the event, they call and let them know that, well, not all those people are coming. It's going to be a very small amount coming.
So you know, what's wrong with having a small amount? What's wrong with having a small amount coming to Mayor Nutter's position? I mean, if it's to honor the team and there's a number of players there,
well,
I mean, it does seem like it's maybe about either the president trying to gin this up or also about his ego being upset that more players weren't coming, that it wasn't going to be a big enough event for him.
Yeah, one thing I know about team sports is that when you are on a team, you go as a team. You don't have the luxury of saying, oh, I don't want to play for that. I don't want to go to play that team because I don't like the quarterback. So half of the team, half of the team decides to go. And the one thing about team sports and about being on a team, you do things together. And this was an invitation from the White House, which is traditionally done. And they should go as a team. If one or two wasn't able to go, 2, 3, or 4, that happened in past administrations. I know because it happened while I worked there for President Bush. But this is different, and it felt like a political stunt. And the president said, if you don't want to be here, if you all don't want to come, you originally did, then fine. We'll salute the flag and we'll have an event celebrating the country.
The only stunt was the canceling of the event. That was the stunt, Paris.
No, the stunt was saying that you wanted to go and then clearing 80-some-odd people.
Who said?
The Philadelphia, the Eagles.
So if 10 players went, you have the event. Every event is not going to be the biggest event that ever happened in your life. This is back to crowd size and the inauguration.
Let me explain.
Mayor, let me explain to you
let the
something.
mayor finish.
Let the 10 players
Oh, now I need to let the mayor finish.
Well, no,
Got it.
you
Let
just
the
spoke for a
10
long
players
time.
come.
Now he gets to speak, and then you'll get to speak again. That's how it works
Let
on TV.
whomever comes
Nah, not on this show.
attend, celebrate with them, don't disrespect the fans, don't make a political statement, and move on with your life.
So
Everything that you said had nothing to do with today's event. We're not talking about Pledge of Allegiance in the classroom and civics class. This was a bald-faced political stunt.
By
The president
Eagles.
has continued to ignore the underlying real issues about inequality, racism, police brutality, bad relations between police and community, community and police. Why
And
does
if
he have
that-
a meeting about that? He
Okay.
could have had a small event with the 10 players, invited them to sit around the table and have a serious discussion about serious policy. But he doesn't care about that.
Well, that's
he cares
not
about
true.
himself.
I think that's not true. And I think when you saw what the president did with prison reform and how he invited a series of people, and at the last minute, a very high-profile rapper was pressured in not going because he felt that that wasn't going to be good for his brand when they could have done something. I think that's what we saw here. The Eagles were coming to this event.
Because you
They were
actually know
coming.
what Donald Trump thinks.
Paris, let me ask you. Sarah Sanders was asked today about how this compares to the Supreme Court ruling yesterday in favor of the baker who turned away a gay couple, which the White House came out in favor of. I just want to play what she said.
If the White House supports the baker's right of free speech, why doesn't the White House support the players' right to free speech?
The president doesn't think that this is an issue simply of free speech. He thinks it's about respecting the men and women of our military. It's about respecting our national anthem, and it's about standing out of pride for that.
I mean, Paris, what she's saying is the president doesn't believe this is an issue of free speech, and then she went on to describe, she may not like this free speech, but is this not an issue of free speech?
Well, I think that those two issues are totally separate. One dealt with a religious, someone's faith and working out of their faith tradition, and this is dealing with.
Right, but I'm asking you, do you believe the players? Don't they have a right to free speech?
Well, everybody has a right to free speech, but it has its limits, Anderson, because listen, if your employer says, if CNN says, Anderson, there are certain words you cannot say on the air, while you do have a right to say them, you can't say them. And if you do say them, you run the risk of being fired, or you can go to another network or another organization that allows you to say it. So there are limitations. The NFL has said that if you are going to be on the field, you're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance or the national anthem.
The Eagles always stood, Paris. The Eagles always stood. They were never in the locker room.
We're not talking
and they don't
about
work
that.
for Donald Trump, Paris.
They work for
they
the
don't
NFL,
work for Donald Trump.
and the NFL put in something in place. And so while they do
That's
have
for next
freedom,
season.
and while
That's for next season.
and while they have freedom of speech,
That is for next season.
they-
Pay attention.
But
so Anderson, you're going to let him do that?
Paris, isn't not choosing to come to the White House an expression of free speech?
Yes, and it is an expression of free speech. And I think that the White House should reconsider how they do this. I would not extend invitations to teams. If teams want to come to the White House, they should ask to come, and there should be a guarantee that the team is going to come. The team is everybody that's on the field. You win together, you fight together, you play together. And when you go celebrate, you celebrate together. And I think that that's how it should be done.
So what, if two people don't go, the whole team doesn't go?
Mayor Nutter, do you see a racial component in this? Obviously, a lot of people have brought this up when the president, called players sons of bitches. And whether this is about ginning up the base, Paris said it appeals to certainly the president's supporters. I'm paraphrasing. Do you believe that there is a racial component to this?
Oh, absolutely. This is the biggest dog whistle. Anybody could hear this whistle from miles away. This is all about, again, pushing aside the real issues that are at hand. I won't say the word. You did. But SOBs. You've just gone down a rabbit hole that any righteous man, and certainly any righteous black man, is going to be fighting with you all day long if you talk about his mother like that. So there's absolutely a racial component.
Paris, I want you to have
to
the final thought, the final comment.
Absolutely a racial component, and that is what Donald Trump is really all about.
All right, Paris.
This is not a racial issue. We're looking for a racial issue, and I don't think that this is one. This is an
Okay.
issue about patriotism. This is an issue about what the White House logistically decided not to do when it came to having this event, because the players decided not to come and be there for the thousands of fans who wanted to be there to support the
Paris
team.
Denard, I appreciate it. Mayor